The 20th of January 2011. A dear friend of ours, Muriel Monroe, now Glasgow, came to see me. She did say she was going to come, but she surprised me by coming today. And she was able to speak with Barbara, who just arrived in Birmingham for the funeral of my dear sister, Jean Small. I always remember the days when we were growing up. She was quite bold, and I was quite shy, and we couldn't leave home without permission. So I always used to push her up to ask permission for us to go out, and she would do it without flinching. I admired her always for that bold way she had. And as I think of her, I'm saddened by the fact that I'll see her no more. And sadder yet because I cannot go because of the severe weather conditions and the fact that I'm dealing with a pacemaker that was put in a few months ago. And I believe the stress would be much too much for me. As I speak, I might be overcome, and so I just have to thank Muriel for giving me this opportunity of speaking. And I send my love to Karen, her daughter, Leah, her granddaughter, Barbara, her niece, and there's Robert. I really give thanks to God for his goodness to me. As long as we went to church on Sundays, in those days, my parents would allow us to go for a walk by the seaside or the riverside. And we would eat cashews, not the nuts, because we were told that the raw nuts have an oil that burns a whole lot. So we would eat the cashew, the fruit, and throw away the kernel, the seed. And it was so windy out there that the streamers from our hats would get into your mouth and get stained up. And I had a way of cutting off the edge of that piece of that ribbon. And after a time there was no more to cut. And I was wondering when my mother would notice that there were no streamers. That's one of the things that I could laugh about. Another good thing was at school, we used to be called on to sing, and we would sing together, Jean and I. My father was a tenor singer, and before the headmaster came, he taught singing at school. He even used to teach the long-term prisoners who were held there at His Majesty's Penal Settlement. That's grandfather to the present Queen Elizabeth too. Those were the days the reign of King George V. We had some beautiful days. We called it the settlement. I remember we lived in a three-bedroomed house, and we would call the front part the gallery, and the middle part the the middle part I can't remember. They call it now the living room, and then the back part was the kitchen, and then there was the largest room, mother's, and the second was my grandmother's room that my sister Jean and I slept in, and the third room was for my brothers, 4 brothers. And they would do a lot of pranks at night and then tell us about it sometime after. In those days, my parents bought things in bulk. There was always a barrel of crackers under the large dining room table. And when everything was quiet at night, they would send my smallest brother, his name was William, but we called him Sonny, and they would lift the dining table because the barrel was pushed up under the dining table, and they would lift the dining table and let him go in to pick up crackers, and when it was low, he had to almost bend into the barrel to get crackers. And there was this night in question that the cat broke something, and Daddy came out to sweep up the place, and they dropped the table on this boy and went into their room. And Daddy took a while to clean up and everything. And they claimed when they went back for him, he was blue. But somehow, he revived. And they were able to tell us the story. Those were the days. Karen, I know how you feel at this time. But you were blessed that you've had your mother for this long. My mother died when I was 12 years old, and it was a long road, a very long road, to when I got married. And the person I got married to was a very great person. Taught me many things that I didn't know. And at this time, I just wish you, Karen, all the best. Everything that you wish for yourself and your daughter. And I trust God that we'll meet soon again.
Well, Karen, I would like to offer my sympathy. I'm sure Mom has just done that. And I spoke to Barbara this afternoon, and she said she went to view Aunt Jean, and she resembled one of the aunts. I'm not sure I remember what the aunts look like, but tomorrow is the funeral, and Barbara will be going to the funeral also. But my sympathy to you and Leah, and to all the other members of the family. And we will, I think you're supposed to come this year, Karen. So we'll see.